the US will need a lot more land in order to build this zero carbon economy. Bloomberg goes through the existing energy infrastructure and how much land that takes. It's about 81 million acres, give or take. Then that boils down, the bulk of that, of course, is already the biofuels. So here's a map of where all the corn and soybeans that are then fermented and used to make ethanol are grown. But it's also, 9 million acres of hydropower. Those are the reservoirs that have been built, the dams holding back water that then turn turbines. 7 million acres of solar and wind farms already. And then 5 million of easements for pipelines, 5 million acres of easements for power lines, 3 million acres of fracking, and so on and so forth. If you put all that together, again, the bulk of the green part, the bulk of it is the corn growing for ethanol. But when you put all of this next to what would be needed for this infrastructure package to deliver on the zero carbon promises that the Biden administration is talking about, even this week at COP26. And I should hasten to add, which they're even saying, again, that's just the beginning. Zero carbon is just the beginning. We're going to go beyond zero carbon. Zero, then negative. So again, carbon zero is just the beginning. And this is a base case. But in Bloomberg's analysis, we would need 17 million acres of more solar farms and a staggering 250 million acres for wind farms. Now, if this seems like a green future to you, if this is how we achieve environmental goals by totally destroying 10 states worth, hundreds of millions of acres of the United States and building huge wind farms, it's complete insanity. And yet, it's happening. And yet, the letters are going out. The farmers are getting kicked off the farms. This is the war on farming and ranching that we've been talking about for years now. These farmers need our support right now, but the zero carbon agenda isn't just about pipelines and windmills. It's about total control of you. And if you've not already seen my report, Absolute Slavery, Deconstructing the Zero Carbon Agenda, then I would highly recommend you check it out, because I step through the UK Fires report about what it means, how our lives, how our industries will have to change in order to achieve net zero. And that includes food, where we basically stop eating meat, and where traditional farming and ranching is done. We do away with it. We change over to synthetic meat and bioreactor fermented, like corn, fake foods, synthetic foods, indoor vertical farms. Nothing natural, nothing godly. Just these disgusting things. And that's what motivates this war on farming and ranching. But it's not, again, it doesn't stop there. It ends private ownership of cars. It sees a massive growth in rail networks instead. It does away with flying. You see here, all airports except the most major hubs will close, and you'll be transferring by rail instead. Well, that's something else the Biden infrastructure package does. Gives $80 billion to Amtrak for a massive expansion of their lines, mostly to the smart cities that are designated under the Agenda 21 development map. We also read that shipping has to be shut down because, quote, there are no freight ships operating without emissions, so shipping must contract. Well, it's interesting to see that the airlines are certainly having a ton of trouble right now, given the mandates. The shipping industry is in complete chaos with massive backlogs and container shortages. Heating, electric heat pumps will replace gas boilers, and building retrofits will roll forward. That's absolutely rolling forward at a breakneck speed, and no longer just in California. Just yesterday, Ithaca, New York signed on for a complete retrofit of all of their buildings to achieve, you guessed it, zero carbon emissions. We're going to decarbonize every last building in Ithaca, New York, and switch to electric power. We're going to push heat pumps over natural gas and heating oil. That's straight from the script that we covered here. Heat pumps replacing gas boilers, and so on and so forth. Again, with that emphasis on food from my perspective, because it is the most critical aspect. Because if they control what you eat, well, you're hosed. You really have no chance but to take whatever else they literally shove down your throat. It is only when someone is independent from this whole toxic system that you can step away from it and say, you guys are crazy. And so on and so forth, of course, phasing out all fossil fuels in the near future, which again is exemplified by that shutting down of the pipeline. So while the farmers are feeling the brunt of this attack right now and need our support, it is all of us that are targeted right now. We are all in their sights for enslavement. So what do? What are the solutions here? When we are facing a massive, totalitarian, centralized, satanic takeover, the solution, well, first of all, is to get close to God. But secondly, it's to decentralize. That is the answer to a takeover of this centralized system. All of us need to be growing food. All of us need to be using every square inch we have right now, growing our gardens as much as possible, pots in the windowsill. I'm talking all out, giving seeds for free to your neighbors and anyone else around, and talking about what's going on. We need to be supporting the farmers. We need to be using regenerative practices, not depending on chemical fertilizers, but doing what people have always done since the dawn of time. Get yourself some rabbits and use their manure. It is gold in the garden. It's amazing. Or chickens, if you compost it first. I've talked a lot about how to grow food. I've had great conversations that you can find with Marjorie Wildcraft or with Gabe Brown about how he has a completely regenerative, holistic animal management system, a ranch there in North Dakota, where he has 0 external inputs. You don't need fertilizer to grow food. But the bottom line is that you can no longer acquiesce. Compliance does not work here. You cannot obey your way out of tyranny. It's time to stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, spread the word about what's going on before this carbon takeover proceeds any further. You can find this report and all my reports on iceagefarmer.com. I will share the images from Linda from the letter to my Telegram group, as well as a host of other news I constantly stream there at t.me/iceagefarmer. I hope to see you there. You can subscribe to these channels if you'd like on bitshoot.com/iceagefarmer or odyssey.com/@iceagefarmer. Folks, this is it. We've got warnings about food crises next year, and the farms are being shut down, and the pipelines that keep our homes warm. The lines have been drawn. Whose side are you on?